Grab your hat. Grab your spending money. Yeah, it's Thrift Tales time. Come on. Thrift Tales.
Hi, welcome to a special home edition of Thrift Tales today. We're home because a lot of the thrift stores are closed, which is good. And a lot of people are staying home to be safe, and that's a great idea. So I'm going to do a little bit of show and tell today and go over some of the fun things I've found at the thrift stores in the past. So what kind of crazy stuff should we talk about? A little while ago I found this Gameboy, original Gameboy, at the thrift store with a bunch of games for just a few bucks, and it works. And that was a great flashback for me. Of course, the original Game Boy being the first handheld device I ever owned, personally. Came with a bunch of games: Pac-Man, Metroid 2, F1 Racer, Wings of Fury, Frogger, Donkey Kong, Tetris. So this was just a lot of fun. One of the big attractions for me with buying the original Game Boy was that you could link with another player to play games. As long as you both had the same game, like Tetris for example, you could connect with a cable and battle each other. That was pretty cool. The best part about this particular find is that the Game Boy actually works. And my favorite game out of this series is Tetris. It looks like whoever the owner was before me loved this a lot as well. It was pretty beat up. But it works. The problem with these Game Boys, obviously, is that they were not backlit at all, and the contrast was pretty bad. I don't even know if you can see it on the camera or not. I'll play with the contrast a little bit, but it's hard to see, especially in bad lighting. Of course, the Game Boy was made to look a lot like the original Nintendo's controller with a screen, as you can see here. And they just had the two buttons plus select and start. So it wasn't until I think the Super Nintendo was one of the first that had multiple buttons on them. Okay, another great find. I came across some of these Choose Your Own Adventure Dungeons and Dragons books at the thrift store. You know, I think some of them a couple were 50 cents, one was $1. So these are just a lot of fun. If you like the Choose Your Own Adventures, this kind of puts a spin on it with the Dungeons and Dragons world, with you know, dragons and skeletons and stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun. I've started making a series of videos with me reading the Dungeon of Dread. So check that out if you're interested. It's pretty fun. I'll just read through one of the adventures in that book. Okay, here's another quick treasure. Little books for kids. If you can't bring yourself to pay full price for these, if you've got young kids at home, you know, you could pay like $4 or $5 or more, sometimes like $7, $8 for these young reader little books, golden books, books on tape. But you can pick them up at thrift stores for just, you know, 50 cents, $1. I've made a video of a few of these, such as Scared of the Dark with Bert and Ernie. That was kind of a fun one. And Daddy's all about the work they do. So if you're interested, check those out. They're fun. Okay, for this next one, you're gonna have to come a little closer so I can show you this. These guys are a lot of fun, probably not very valuable, but I think they're a nice addition to the bookshelf. It's a set of 6 hand-painted elves from the Yorkshire Company, maybe from the 60s or 70s. I found them at the thrift store, still in their original box, for $1, and I knew exactly where they were going to live once I brought them home. These guys get into all sorts of mischief around the house while we're asleep, but always seem to get right back into position when I come to check on them. Okay, the last thing I wanted to show you was this book right here. This is the Troll Book. And I was just so happy to see this because this brought back a lot of memories for me. So you might be familiar with the Berenstain Bears by Stan and Jan Berenstain. Well, they had a son named Michael Berenstain, and he became an illustrator as well as an author. Some of his first books were were kind of instructional books about different topics. For example, this one's about trolls. He also made one about castles, one about ships, like pirate ships, one about lighthouses, one about armor. And some of these books are pretty rare. They're hundreds of dollars if you were to buy them on the internet. So coming across one for a few bucks, this particular one was marked $5, which was kind of a lot for the children's books, but whoever was pricing probably knew this is kind of something special. Now this has particular interest to me because as a kid in elementary school, I really had a hard time reading, paying attention and focusing, and I couldn't even get through a Dr. Seuss book hardly. But I did love looking at the pictures, and Michael Berenstain did such a great job with these pictures. I remember just sitting and looking at all of the great illustrations through these books of his. So, I mean, just top-notch illustrations. And then now, as an adult, as I read through them, you can really see the amount of research he put into these books. I mean, he really did his homework, and then he made it a fun, interesting story as he goes through and talks about all the different aspects. So I'm going to go ahead and read this book to you. I hope you're interested in this. This is actually a really fun read, even if you're an adult. Stay tuned. I'm going to read this and get a bowl of popcorn or something, sit down and enjoy a really good book by a great artist, illustrator, and storyteller, Michael Berenstain.